Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's webinar is Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Apologies for the slight delay. I had a few issues with my Zoom software this evening. Coming up tomorrow evening, I'll be going through the webinar on mastering the double top and double bottom pattern. If you want to join me for that webinar, just register your interest at the webinar page. That will be 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, Sydney time. All right, for everybody this evening, if you can read through the disclaimer before we move along. Any questions to the chat box or the Q&A box. For those on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat there, but I've given you the link to join us in the webinar if you want to talk to me. So everybody, please just take the time to read through the disclaimer. All right, let's move along now. For those that don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities. And I'm a full-time currency trader. I've been trading the market now for more than 20 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me about the webinars, my email's there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And if you want to connect with me through the week at our website, acy.com, go to the Market News tab. At AUDJPY Securities Australia, our YouTube channel. And if you want to connect with me personally, my Linktree page is there. You can get my links on that page. And if you want to get access to the charts I'm using in MT4, just contact Nathan.bray's emails on screen. And for those in the webinar, I'll just put his details in the chat. All right, so let's get into what's going on in the market. First up, the news items. All right, MyForexFactory.com. And items coming up this week. We've already had the interest rate decision from the Aussie where we did get a cut. And this evening, 7:30 p.m., my time, Queensland time. I'll just go through the red items for the UK. Bank of England Governor Bay speaks at 7:30, so 20 minutes away. 11:30 tonight for Canada. We have CPI month to month, median CPI year on year, trim CPI year on year. So inflation data coming out there for the Canadian at 11:30 p.m. So it's going to be volatile for Canadian crosses. Getting into Wednesday in the morning, 10:30 a.m. for Aussie, we have wage price index QQ at 11, official cash rate for the New Zealand. It is saying here we're expecting a 50 basis point cut. Policy statements, press conference there between 11 and 12 p.m. as well. President Trump speaks at 12 p.m. my time. 5 p.m. for the UK, we have CPI year and year. Expecting a bit of a rise there. Going to be volatile at that time for the pound. And I should have said the same thing for the New Zealand crosses here at 11 to 12 o'clock tomorrow, or slightly beyond. It'll be volatile for the New Zealand crosses. Getting into Thursday, 5 in the morning, we have the FOMC meeting minutes. Don't know whether there'll be any surprises in those meeting minutes, but it could get volatile at 5 o'clock in the morning. 10:30 a.m. Thursday, we have the unemployment change, or unemployment rate there for the Aussie. 11:30 p.m. in the evening, unemployment claims for the US. Then moving into Friday, more news for Aussie at 8:30. RBA Governor Bug speaks. 5 p.m. for the UK retail sales. And then we have, for various countries on Friday, German flash manufacturing PMI data and service PMI data. French at 6:15, the German version at 6:30, UK version at 7:30 p.m. Canadian retail sales, core retail sales there at 11:30 p.m. And then the flush manufacturing service PMI data for the US at 12:45. So these manufacturing and service PMI data releases can be volatile for those nations. So it is well worth understanding that and knowing when they're going to get released on Friday, okay? And into the early morning mid to early morning on Saturday, we have 3:30 a.m. Canada, Bank of Canada, Governor Macklin speaks. So I'm at forexfactory.com. Just head over, set it to your time zone, and then you can focus on the red items, know what's coming out through the week. All right, so let's go through the charts. Dollar index is still showing a decline. We're just having a day of a bounce after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative days. So nothing can be positive or negative for forever before we get a interim correction. Just going to go to the weekly chart. There's this major top over here that we moved above, but then we've moved below. So this area really potentially should be resistance now. If we're going to be still moving down, we're a little bit trapped between this high, maybe, and these highs here at the moment. So all I will be watching for really on the dollar index from its positional play is it going to maintain and maybe a rally back to that high to put in a lower top. If we're seeing that price action this week, we are moving further down, and pairs to the US dollar are going to be potentially moving up. All right, we have a recognized downtrend on the day chart here at the moment, and recognize uptrends on pairs to the US dollar. Just going to look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart is now a lower top, lower bottom. So the market will be seeing that we have a weekly downtrend, a day downtrend. So that is the bias at the moment. US dollar negativity. S&P 500 is testing, or it is today moving to a fresh high. It's very difficult to buy on the fresh high. It's always good to be a buyer on the dip. Historically, going back in time, we can see where the logical area was to be a buyer down here. 62% retracement of the range. That's from the weekly chart. Low to high. I tested that area twice. And now I would expect this to be moving up to 127 extension. All right. Before then, of this low up to wherever that tops out, we're looking for a pullback within that range. All right. So we're in the profit taking point of the move at the moment within the fib tool. So I would wanting to trade the index here, looking for the next pullback, not trying to be a buyer at the top. Just a patience game there, I think, looking for the next pullback. All right, euro dollar. So just want to look at my weekly chart. I just need to get rid of that fib off there. Structurally on the weekly here, we have a higher bottom. Just at the moment, there's a weekly top here that we formed. Are we going to put in a higher top? So we've got a definite uptrend now forming on the weekly chart. I've been saying since the start of the new year that I thought that this long-term move down, we would be coming back up. Don't know whether we're going to take those highs out, but are we going to come up maybe for a 79% retracement at some point? We'll wait and see. But my bias is to the upside here. Now, this area over here, 104.48, could be an area of support this week. To the daily, bit overextended on the day at the moment. So today's move, we're having a couple of negative days. We may only come back to this top here, which is 104.42, and my weekly level here at 104.48. So 104.42 to 104.48 should be watched today for possible support. So on a day chart perspective, to just come into this zone and then be trading up. 106, this 106 area here could be an area of resistance that we're targeting at the moment. And, you know, can we break through that? I've been saying we've got an imbalance here and an imbalance here. Are we going to be moving up to fill those imbalances? So the next logical bar at the moment is 106. So we could maybe getting intraday support down here at 104.48 or close to for a move up to 106 this week. For our chart, it's just in a bit of a downtrend at the moment. So I would be watching, I'm going to put my other line in, this area here, 104.42. This would be my zone to watch for support. Now intraday at the moment, we are negative, we're having a day down, but I would be, as I've just said, where my zone is for support today, it's in the green zone of the pivots. I would be watching down here to see if we can find intraday support and a reversal. Now price action might not get down there. Just if you're monitoring price action today, if we were to break out above these highs today, so let's say we go up, then I would look for a pullback within that minor range to continue up. Excuse me. All right, so that would be my area to watch today. Euro yen, just monitoring the weekly structure, which is lower top, lower bottom, and I'm just got a fib across that range. At the moment, this broken level of weekly support that was, he's holding a resistance, has almost last week come up to the 62% level of that range. So it hasn't quite got there. Whenever it doesn't quite get there, I'm always concerned that we haven't yet completed the upward move. So weekly structure trend is down, but personally, I would be looking up here at the 79% retracement area, 162.88, to see first of all, do we have a further move up here to the 79% level of the weekly range, so that range there. And I would focus on what happens here. Do we start to fail here for the opportunity of the next weekly down leg towards the 127 extension? And up here, we've got daily resistance as well. So resistance area up here, where we've previously started make lower tops just a little bit above that area. I would watch 162.88 if we got up there. Other than that, it doesn't really interest me. I want to be a seller with that weekly trend, which is down at a high area. Okay. And I'll just, that's my area. Now, of course, I'm marking my charts in. If you're following along, you can be marking yours in. I gave you a great level to watch on the dollar yen last week. And I've just left my chart as it is, so we can just catch up. All right, euro pound, which from the monthly perspective, we're in a downtrend. We've had a rise to the 62% level just short, just underneath these old monthly lows. But where it is, there's lots of monthly support. All right, so for me, it's just in a horrible area of support. Weekly, it has, is that a final top from the monthly rally to be the next major top to trade down, or is that a higher top to put in a higher bottom to come further up? There's a lot of support here. So personally, if I wanted to trade this pair, you can see it's very range bound. Generally here, it's very range bound in this area too. Is whilst we could have topped here to move down long term, right where it is not where I want to sell. I might be able to get excited about being a buyer because from this low to high, there's a 79% level overlapping with monthly support at 82.76. So if I needed to do anything on the euro pound, I think I would watch this area for support. But if we contrast the euro dollar versus the pound dollar, which we'll get to the pound dollar in a moment, the pound dollar is a little bit stronger structurally than the euro dollar. So if we get any positive news coming out from the CPI data release this week, and the pound continues upward move with a bit more strength than the euro dollar, well, of course, the euro pound is going to be moving down. But you know, if the bias is to the sell side, this is not where you want to be selling. You'd want to be looking at dragging a minor fib down from that top to where we bottom, even if we have a bounce here. Let's get rid of that fib. Is monitor this range for a rally to the 79% level, and then look to sell. Don't be selling into support down here. Look to sell a rally for the next breakthrough. All right, so always looking to sell a rally if we're going to be trading that trend, or looking to be a buyer at major support. All right, so the pound, weekly. As I was saying before on the euro dollar, I've said this for the last month and a half. I felt that this was the bottom down here because we've had a substantial move down and we need a correction within this high to low range. We have put in a minor weekly high bottom here, and that's a minor, that was a minor top just here. So we have of sorts had, Sammy saying inverse head and shoulder. Was that on the euro pound? We've had a of sorts higher, well, high bottom, high top now forming on the weekly, and I'm anticipating we could, get up to the 130 level or the 131 level up here. We're in rally mode of this high to low movement at the moment. All right, so on the daily, it's clear uptrend. We're just contending with previous weekly low over here. So back to the weekly chart. We're just trading into this area. There's another weekly low over here. So these areas could be areas where the market bounces within this trend that's forming to the upside. And I've been saying that these imbalances could well need to be filled. So if you were just looking to buy a dip last week, there was into the 62.79% area, reverse back up. Now, this is very high up now. It's at the 127 extension of that range. That's the profit taking point. I would at least look for the market to have some form of pullback. So 4 hour, so that's last week's low to last week's high. I would look, if I wanted to trade the pound at the moment, I would look for a pullback within last week's range. 24.87, where's that coming from? 24.87. That's the low there. It's a little bit hidden now. So I'll take that line off. Personally, I would look to the range of last week, allow the market to have a pullback. Now the market may not pull back and this may just continue going up, but what I don't want to be, I don't want to be a buyer at high levels. I want to be a buyer on a dip. And so I have to be prepared to miss out. I would be looking for this zone down here. Now, whether or not the market will offer that this week, I don't know. What I don't want to be doing is buying at the top of last week, then being wrong and see an intra-week reversal before we bottom for the week and then we move up. All right, so we'll often pull back within the candle of last week. We haven't done that yet, so I would want to see a cheaper price on the pound before I can start to look for the opportunity to be a buyer with the trend. Now, of course, I'm looking for discount here. The market may not offer me that discount. 26.12, back to the weekly chart, which is this area here. You could be watching intra. See, at the moment, we're just struggling at 26.12 here. What do you really want to see? If you're not going to wait for a healthy correction, you at least want to see an impulsive move above 26.12, and then 26.12 intraday to be support. All right, now we're not seeing that. At the moment, we're kind of headbutting 26.12 and holding there. So some people may be looking, maybe, okay, I think I may be able to short at 26.12 because it's resistance and allow the market to have a pullback. But trend is up, so I would look to trade to the upside, but I need a reason to trade. And I would like an area of resistance to become support, which I don't have at the moment. We do have the CPI data coming out from the pound a little bit later in the week. So CPI later in the week, just be patient with the pound, might bring price down into this zone. If you want to be a buyer at a lower level. Pound yen, like I was just showing the euro yen, this is there's a weekly lower top here to a lower bottom. I've come back up to the 79% level. 2 weekly highs in a row here. Here's your day chart. Bit of a double top up here. I'll go through double top tomorrow. So with the weekly trend down and a possible double top here, I would look to see if this can come back up close to or at that 79% level, 193.07. So to the 4-hour chart, 193.07. It's also last week's high in here, 79% level. Could watch this range. So whilst I'd be a lot happier trading up here, we may not get there because we've already been to that level and then we've sold down. So then where's the next 79% level? So we'll look in this zone, 192.52 to 193.04. Can price come up, rally, and then come down? So we want to see what price does on a lower time frame in that area if we visit that area this week. Aussie yen, same deal. The weekly trend is lower top, lower bottom. Very positive week last week, back above support. I did say I would watch for price to come back above this area of support last week. 62% rally. Right, so we may have failed at 62% level. It's a little bit sideways here on the 4-hour chart at the moment. So I would look to see if we come back up and we have a go at testing last week's high. What happens at 97.29 as well? $97.29 and that's 79% level. This zone here. What happens if we move into that zone this week? Do we reverse intraday? That's what I watch for there on the Aussie yen. Looking to sell a rally within that weekly downtrends. Right, Aussie dollar weekly chart here. Just jump to the monthly. I got long down here at 61 and 62. I'm thinking that we have bottomed here to move up to the 68. 69 level. Or beyond, but can we come up? Are we going to trade up at the moment towards 69? This month, we're having an outside, we had a positive month last month, we're having an outside up month. So that's all kind of bullish to me. We're still at the moment, we've negotiated these weekly lows now. We've got these weekly lows to start to negotiate. Those are at 63.48, 63.62. We're just slightly underneath 62. Their chart. Just having a day down, but we're already positive for the day. And the interest rate decision theoretically is negative for the Aussie US dollar, but that was already factored in. So whatever else is driving price action in the Aussie, it already factored in a rate cut and price action is bullish. So I'm already long twice and I'm looking to target up here. So you can see where we are up. There's a higher top area here, higher bottom, moving up. So at the moment, if I wanted to be a buyer with the trend that we're seeing, we're just into weekly lows at the moment. 63.48, 63.62. We're just having a day down. But what I'd like to see is if we get a nice close, first of all, because we could trade back down. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Last week's low is here. We just traded above last week's high. Move that fib up to the new high for the week. We may want to come down intra-week to the 62.79% area at the moment. So up here is very high at the moment. And it may want to come down from those weekly lows and come into a cheaper area on the chart. Coming into this area, you can see that price action was rather consolidatory here. All right, before it went boom. So price action might want to come back into the consolidation here where the orders were being gathered before it further continues its uptrend. So at the moment for me, on a lot of these pairs to the US dollar, we're at or very close to weekly high areas of last week. And then when I see that, I want to then be a buyer at discount relative to last week's range. So I'm just purely patient, waiting to see if price will pull back within that range. I'm not going to engage at the high of last week. Now, if it doesn't want to pull back, what I can certainly think about doing is waiting for at least a breakout and above 36.62. So if we were to move up to 64, then I would expect 63.62 to be support on the pullback. All right, so just back to my 4-hour chart. I would, at the moment, if I'm not going to be prepared to wait for a pullback, I would want to see price break up towards 64 and then look at 63.62 for support intraday to trade up. So I don't have that scenario at the moment. All I'm seeing at the moment is it's testing 63.62 and doesn't want to move above it. So I don't want to be a seller because the overall trend is up on day perspective after failing at a major monthly level of support. So my bias is to the upside. I just need to pick an area that I'll be a lot happier watching for price to pull back to, and then look for a setup to be a buyer. All right, New Zealand, we have the interest rate decision coming out, I said tomorrow. All right, I got long down here, 55.20. I know it looks good, doesn't it? Buying at 55.20 plus 10s. But I knew that was major support down here, and the weekly trends turned up. So from the monthly perspective, low, double bottom. Is this a double bottom? Going to go through double tops and double bottoms next webinar. Are we going to be coming up to 63.69? From a double bottom perspective, I'll go through this in more detail tomorrow, but there's the high, and then we've come all the way down to form another low. Is the height of the pattern projected above is a potential target? Well, that's at 75.63. I know we're all going, oh, that's a long way away, but if you brought down here, that's the double bottom target. Now, I don't know if we're going to get there. It's going to take more than a couple of months to get there for sure. But if that is the pattern that's running out, wouldn't it be a great idea to look for the opportunity to get long for the long term. Might take 4 months, might take 6 months to get up there. Who knows? That's assuming it's going that way long term. So the weeklies turned to an uptrend. We have a higher top here now. It's just not wanting to commit above this high here at 57.23 at the moment. Traders maybe not committing because of we do have an interest rate decision tomorrow. And high bottom to higher top. We may want to have 1 or 2 or 3 days down here to correct the upward move. But we're in a day chart uptrend, so that's my bias. I would look to last week's low to last week's high, and then we've broken through there, so move it up to the new high of the week. And again, this is very high priced at the moment for the pair. Look to the 62.79% zone for the opportunity to buy on a setup in line with the trend that we're seeing. So this is a profit taking area at the moment. This is the cheap area where traders will be looking to buy. So none of us knows if we're going to get pullbacks within the range of last week to the 62.79% level, but that would be the best area to look for your next trade to the long side with the trend. All right, dollar Canadian. Well, it was a lovely fair up there. I was watching it at the time. I was buying the New Zealand dollars. This was filling up here. All right, so we have a monthly top, an outside reversal month from the previous month. And of course, with folks breaking those tops, that looks very negative up here. I would anticipate this is going to move down to these tops here at least. Weekly, we're now in a downtrend. We move to a lower bottom. Daily, lower top to a bottom. I will look now within the range of there, which is going to be last week's range. Again, allow price to come up. This area here could well be resistance at 42.61. I would allow price to come up to test that area first of all. Maybe it could come up to 62% level, but 142.61 to 142.91. So there's a 30 pip range in here. That would be my zone to watch for a rally this week too. And then do we start to turn around and keep within the trend? All right, so my theme at the moment is pairs to the US dollar, I'm looking for a dip. When the dollar's on the left-hand side, I'm looking for a rally. I'm not interested in trying to trade the counter trend move. We have a very dominant downtrend starting to form with the US dollar. So why bucket? Dollar franc. So I've been saying for many weeks on the weekly chart, we have this kind of consolidation triangular pattern area, but we, from holding at the top of that consolidation long-term area, we put in a lower top. Haven't quite put in a lower bottom yet. We're just deciding if we can move through this area. But what we have had, last week's lesson was 79% retracement. Well, we could have been trading at this 79% level here, stop above the high. Now it almost takes the stop if you traded here. So last week's less than 79% level. There. Stop above here. Does not take you out. We come back up to that same level. You could have gone stop above here. All right, there was also a 79% level from here. Up in this zone here too. All right, so this is at support at the moment. So I would now want to watch for price to break through there. So we trade down to 127 extension. And then I would get set and ready for price to come up and put in another lower top area. All right, it's telling you it's lower top. So we've had at the moment lower top. I want to see this move down, then come back up, ideally a 7% rally for another lower top, to be trading down towards the weekly support down there. All right, so looking to sell a rally. If it will offer you it, it's offered you it twice. I don't know if it's going to offer the third time. Just have to be patient and watch. All right, dollar yen. So what did I say last week? High to low. Look for a 7. This is how I painted out. Look for a 7% retracement. So what I would be wanting to see at the moment is a completion down to the 127 extension, and then get set for the next rally. All right. So the best time to be getting in intraday was once we failed at the 79% level, getting in the early phase here. So the early phase would have been this area here as we're heading down. This phase, now we're almost at support, the 0 level and the 127 extension. This phase here is the profit taking phase. So I don't want to be involved in trying to get short in the profit taking phase now. I will be waiting for the next rally and get in the early phase of the turnover. So you just have to pick your battles. Right, so I'd look for this to complete and then have its next rally. Now, intraday at the moment, just to the daily, I just want to double check where I can get that line. This line here is the 22 and the 23 highs. This line. So the market today is asking itself, are we going to stay below those tops? And intraday today, you could, if you get a tight entry, be trading against that area. You know, if you close below this trend line, you could be looking to get short, maybe stop above here. You know, is the market wanting to remain below the 22 and 23 highs? What's your trigger to trade down from that area? And it's obviously faltering at 152. All right. So, you know, break below these lows, this high here, underneath here, is a failure at the 150, 194 to 152 area. So you need to make a decision then, do you want to go short? But still bearing in mind that we're heading into the profit-taking phase of the bigger move. All right. I'm done. Just finish with gold. Now, this is how I set it up last week. I said watch the 62.79% level for a dip. Went into there, came up, came back down to the 62% level once more. So you see that on the 4-hour chart here. Came down, up, this time to the 62% level. At the moment, though, it is a little bit sideways. Not ideal. It's a little, you know, intraday swings at the moment. We've moved down. That's lower top. That's higher bottom. Then we have our top here. Higher bottom. So we're just turning into a 4-hour trend here. But it is, so I would want to see $15. That's that 4-hour bottom. Look for the 62.79% zone of that intraday price action at the moment. So that would be approximately 2,900 down to 28.96 here. for the next move up. All right. All right, so that's my thoughts on gold. Personally, on gold at the moment, long-term trend is quite clearly up. I don't really like, back to the daily, I don't like that this has put in like a higher bottom here in the daily, just here. And then a lower top. And then a higher bottom. Because that kind of becomes a little bit triangular. Which in an uptrend would be a breakout of that kind of period of consolidation area, but it's a little bit messy. Higher bottoms and lower tops in that zone. I'd be a lot happier with just higher tops and bottoms. All right. And there's this move up here is quite overextended on the daily. So it looks a little bit high up here, engaging. I mean, I would be a lot happier just from the weekly scale perspective here at the moment. Is for this to have a healthy pullback now. Weekly low to weekly high, and then we look for a 62% pullback here to support at 27.26, but the market might not want to do that. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th week of the move. In a long-term move, would you rather be getting in the first 1 or 2 weeks, or getting in the 8th, 9th, and 10th week of the move? First 1 or 2 weeks, of course. So we are getting into the latter end of the move. So if you get caught at the top, you've only got yourself to blame. But the day chart swing is here at the moment, where it got support at 62 to 79% zone last week. And if it was to revisit that zone this week, great. That may still offer support for an opportunity to trade intraday. All right. So just to recap, we are definitely seeing a continued US dollar weakness. We should get translated into US dollar weakness on pairs to the US dollar. And I've been saying since early January, not because I'm right, I just thought we were overextended and we would maybe need a pullback. And we've had a pullback and the US dollar's turned to a downtrend and the pairs to the US dollar are starting to move up. So how long does the downtrend of the US dollar last? We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, it's in situ. Weekly trend's now down. The day chart trend's now down. So I wouldn't look to book the trend. Since Trump's got in and firmly got his feet under the table, under the desk, the US dollar trend has turned down. Is that going to be a sustained picture for the year? We'll have to wait and see. All right, so that's my analysis for this week. If you want to join me for a webinar tomorrow, there's a webinar link page. I'm going to go through mushroom double top and double bottom pattern tomorrow. So if you want to join me for that, just head over to the page, register your interest, and I look forward to seeing you then. All right, everybody. I'll wrap it up there and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.